and they become material minded, then they leave everything behind. They leave their family, they leave their children, they leave their God, they leave the Allah, they leave the Rasul, and they just become money minded. They want to work day and night to achieve more and more, right? So these people, they lose the akhirah, right? So Allah is saying that the believers will not do this. Believers, they are looking at the long term, right? The long term is the akhirah, right? So they are working towards it. So automatically that means they are going to have a life in this world which will be moderate, which will have resources, which will have material, but they while using this material, while consuming, while enjoying life, they do not let go the obligations, family obligations, obligation towards Allah, obligations towards environment. All right, they will not forget that. So benefits of halal versus evil, haram. Halal work and the earnings emanated there from a kind of ibadah for which a Muslim will be rewarded on the day of judgment. You see, both of these people are going to earn. Both of the people are going to do business, the good people and the bad people. Both of them are going to make money. But what happens that the one who is good, who is working on the halal money, halal wealth, in his case, his business, his earning, his employment is going to become ibadah, right? And he will be rewarded, even though he is going to get the worldly benefit in this world. He is going to get salary, he is going to buy his house, he is going to get his car, but still, because this is a ibadah, he is going to get in the akhirah as well. On the other side, the person who is earning haram, cheating, using riba interest as to accumulate fund, to double his money, all right, all these and other forms of haram, so will be rewarded right here, but he in the akhirah he will be punished. All right, so it's very simple, right? It's very simple and very clear. Whatever is spent out of halal earnings is considered as sadaqah, charity, even what is spent on one's family. So you can see a father works hard and he gets money and he buys and gets the food for his kids. So he's feeding his kids, that is considered sadaqah. He is putting food in his wife's mouth, that is considered sadaqah. He is buying clothes, fruits, shoes, whatever are needs of his family, all right, his parents, all these are considered sadaqah, all right. And you can see on the other side, when people's earning is haram, no matter what, how much good they do, all right, then it is not accepted because that money is haram, right? Sometimes people want to play this game of money laundering with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Na'uzubillah, right? They want to do money laundering. They know that their income is haram, so they want to go and give the big amount of donation to build masjid so that they can purify their wealth. All right, so that's why I'm saying that people are now playing this money laundering game with God, right? Which is not good, which is in a way it is making Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more angry, right? If anyone earns well through haram means and then gives charity from it, there is no regard for him and the burden of sin remains. If a person earns property through haram means and then gives charity, it will not be accepted by Allah. If he spends it, there will be no blessing on it, and if he leaves it behind at his death, it will be his provision in the fire. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not eliminate one bad deed by another bad deed, but he cancels out a bad deed by a good deed. An unclean thing does not wipe away another unclean thing. Right? Okay. Halal earnings will be blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Blessing will be lifted from it. All right. On the other side, if the money is haram, blessing will be, there'll be no barakah in it. Right. On the halal side, there is barakah. On the haram side, there's no barakah. And then another negative outcome of haram is that the rejection of dua. The dua is not going to be accepted. Right. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "O people, Allah is good, and He therefore accepts only that which is good." And Allah commanded the believers as He commanded the messengers by saying, "O messengers, eat of the good things and do not and do good deeds. Verily, I am aware of what you do." Right? And He said, "O those who believe, eat of the good things that we gave you." Right? So this is very clear. Allah is encouraging us. We should always make sure that the wealth which we are acquiring, that wealth is halal and not haram. And we also discussed what are the outcomes of halal and what is the outcome of haram wealth. Okay, now this is a very famous hadith which we always hear. All right, a person who travels widely, his hair disheveled and covered with dust, he lifts his hand towards the sky and thus makes the dua, "O Lord," whereas his food is unlawful, his drink is unlawful, and his clothes are unlawful, and his nourishment is unlawful. How can then his dua be accepted? All right. So this is the negative outcome of haram and unlawful wealth. Halal earnings will bring to its possessor peace of mind. This is another important thing. All right. When we have halal income, when our wealth is halal, so even the small amount, no matter how small is that amount, it will still give us this peace of mind. It will provide us tranquility, right? And it will help to have a clear conscience. On the other side, the haram, its possessor will have always a guilty conscience. He will know somewhere deep in his heart that this income is not lawful, and then he will be always feeling guilty. All right, so he will not have the peace of mind. All right, now that was about wealth, because you see, when we talk about business or when we talk about buying and selling, the main thing there is wealth. Either we are acquiring the wealth, or we are selling the wealth, or we are buying the wealth. All right. So that's why until now we have discussed about what is halal wealth, what is haram wealth. All right. So now we are coming into what are the aims, objectives of business ethics in Islam. So adab of business in Islam, it is actually protecting the rights of the parties involved in the contract. So this is the first one, right? That Islam aims to protect the rights of the seller and the buyer, whoever third parties who are involved in a contract. This is the most important part of Islamic ethics, that all of their rights should be protected. 2, protecting consumer rights, right? 3, creating fair competition. 4, protecting the rights of workers. 5, protecting public interest funds. and 6, leniency, helping others, right? So there should be a level of leniency, rifq, or clemency in the business fraternity, all right, which will allow them to help others, no matter it is helping in the sense of business or helping in the sense of sharing the wealth through sadaqah. All right. Okay. Now, each one of these items are discussed. Is nearly 6 o'clock. Um, let me see. Okay, I will discuss because I will be sharing this slide as well once I will prepare this. Today I'll be giving Sheikh Sharan the last week's slides. Um, I want to actually just, I think I want to cover only before we go today, um, that leniency, right? So we have 6 aims and objectives of business ethics in Islam, all right? And the last one, leniency, helping others, I will discuss that, and then we can go. All right. You can see here, this is the hadith. May Allah bless the person who behaves leniently while buying, while selling, and while collecting his dues. Right? Rahimallahu rajulan samhan idha iqtada. Right? So this is in Kitabul Buyu, the book, what you call, of sale. Actually, I will talk to Shak Shahran. There was once I started only the book of sale of Sahih Bukhari, so that the people who are in the business world, they can get the primary resources and the guidelines before we even go into Islamic banking and finance. We'll see. We are still in the planning process. What session I want to teach in future. So this is also one of the areas which should be taught, that we read Sahih Bukhari's Kitabul Buyu only. All right. So, or we share all the lessons from there. Now, this is the hadith which is saying, Jabir radiallahu anhu, that you see, when people become rigid in business, in buying and selling, then life becomes difficult. Right? So the prophetic teaching is that we should be having a level of leniency, all right, in this aspect. If the debt, and similarly goes to the one who is in debt, when we someone owes us money and we are always chasing this guy to pay on time, pay on time. So here also the Islamic teaching is, if the debtor is in a difficulty, grant him time. This is Surah Baqarah, see, to 280, till it is easy for him to repay. And if you remit it by the way of charity, that is best for you, if you only knew the generous rewards for this. Right? So this is very important for the people who are in the business groups, the business fraternity, that when it comes to this type of attitude in the market, because you see, there is something in Islam, we talk about the flow of the fund, the money, right? The wealth. The wealth should have a smooth distribution. And if people do not have this leniency, if they do not have this type of rifq and clemency, what will happen? It will become a very strict type of institution,
We are losing Prof for a while. Yeah, it's coming back. Prof, please unmute.
We are still here, Sheikh Sharan.
Yes, yes, yes. Everyone's still waiting. Nobody leaving.
My battery went out the laptop, but I'm on the phone now.
Sure, sure.
Okay, so yeah, so this is when the rifq and leniency. This is very important, because if we do not have this type of gentleness in the market, then the flow, the distribution of wealth will become problematic. All right. So, and in the objective of in Islamic finance, one of the objective, the Sharia maqasid, is to have this smooth flow and distribution of wealth in the marketplace. Right. So that's why Islamic teaching is that we should have this type of leniency, and and the last part, which actually, Sheikh Sharan, we still have time?
Yes, yes, go ahead, yeah, no problem.
Okay, so one more point which I want to discuss is that the environment. Now, the understanding of environment, is that whatever is facilitating our life is environment. All right, so that means everything surrounding us is an environment for us, and we as Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this earth, we have two responsibilities. One, to utilize, because Allah made this environment, the alam musakhar, to us. They are saving us. All right, so that means we cannot take advantage. Allah has given human being this power to actually manipulate the earth. This is the beauty, the power Allah has given to human being, right? And but while doing this, we cannot destroy the nature, we cannot destroy the environment. We are supposed to protect it as well. So if you read my Qana'a paper, you will see, actually I was trying to work on how to use Qana'a to overcome social and environmental problems today. Actually, the concept of Qana'at can help us, right? So there is one hadith in Qana'a paper where Prophet ﷺ is saying that when you find a mine, ma'adin, where we are doing gold mining or salt mining, when you find a mine, do not take out all. Leave it for your children, right? What do we understand from this hadith? That we are supposed to only use that amount of natural resources which we need, and not beyond our need. Otherwise, tomorrow our kids will not have that pleasure to use that natural resource, because we will deplete it today. Right, so these are some of the so as a businessman, this is actually the after those six objectives, our slide is talking about environment, right? So I'm also just before we go, so inshallah I will be sending Sheikh Shahran last week's family ethics, and then we have one more session. Inshallah, in that session we'll have a discussion on interrelation between human beings, and also I will share the slide of this business ethics and also ethics of legal ethics, professional ethics. How should we behave in the workplace? So that's all, Shak Shahran. I will send you the slide of last week. You give it to our respected participants. Okay. So yeah, that's all from my side. Back to you, Sheikh.
We take first one from Sister Khadija.
Yes.
Sister Khadija.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I want to ask about the hadith you mentioned earlier about the person whose dua is not accepted because of taking haram.
Yes.
In the hadith, it was mentioned that he was paid by haram.
Yes.
Yes.
So the question is, actually, is
They share some. How can we reconcile that with? How
with,
can we reconcile that with the verse of the Quran where Allah said, "وَلَا تَزِرُ وَازِرَةٌ وِزْرَ أُخْرَى." Jazakumullah khairan.
Okay. All right. You see, there are two different things. So one is our we have a legal maxim in Islam which actually provides us a guideline of how we should be behaving in this world, and that is la dharar wala dirar. All right, that neither we harm others, all right, neither we do not inflict harm, and we do not reciprocate harm. Now, this principle is when the deal is between two human beings. But when the relationship is vertical between man and God, so there these guidelines are important, that when we are approaching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we should be approaching with that utmost respect. And that is the reason why you will also hear this hadith that making sujood to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without tahara in najasa is actually not permitted. Why? Because this is a disrespect, right? That we are prostrating before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the state of what we call najas, right? Impurity. So similarly here, when it comes to wealth, that when we are trying to give sadaqah or when we are trying to make dua, knowing that we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all right? So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling us in this hadith that we a person who has consumed, all right? Actually, if you understand that hadith properly, it is because it is saying that that person is clothing, his food, his drinking, to the extent that his body has grown on. That means that person has gone beyond its excessive haram consumption, right? So which is actually in a way like challenging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? People out of ignorance, where they do not mean to disrespect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or where accidentally, right, they ended up consuming, that is another story, right? So this is how we see it, all right? So we are talking here about two different types of relationship, two different types of between man and between man and God. So between man and man, yes, that is the rule, all right? La dharar wala dirar. We cannot harm, neither we can take revenge. We don't inflict harm, we don't reciprocate. Now, using this maxim, everything in the life
have to be in this line, have to be within this guideline, right? Whether it is business, whether it is family relationship, or it is any type of contract, all have to follow this basic guideline.
Okay, Doctor, there's one question from Kaba. I understand the difference between halal and haram. While if someone's use their wealth that they gain in haram to support the building of a mosque, and the community have ideal of the source of the wealth, will they also be punished by allowing unethical person support the mosque project? I mean, community don't have the money and accept the unclear money.
No, they are not, because they do not know. Especially sometimes people, some people will send the money, because when they open normally for the masjid donation, they will give this. Nowadays we are sending account, we have apps. So in these apps, it is difficult to know who is giving the money. We only know the name and the address. But the old style, where people used to physically go and meet the masjid committee, or in the village setting, where a man goes and to the masjid committee that I want to build a masjid, right? But normally, if you see in the traditional lifestyle, people will know in the village, right? I'll give you example. I was in Palau Island. I was sent by IIIT for a dawah. Sheikh Tatunji sent me there. I was there 1 week. So there was this group of Muslims came and told me that actually one of their Muslim brother is selling beer in the shop, and we have restricted him to give us viafa in the masjid, because we know his income is not halal, right? So in that case, I said, all right, yeah, that you are right to do that, if it is very clear, and because people know each other in the village, right? They know whose money is halal, who is doing drug dealing, and who is. So in that case, knowing, then all of them will be also in trouble in akhirah, right? But if they do not know, then in that case, it is not their fault.
Okay. Brother Ghalib, is a long question. Collection of zakah and scheme of uziyah kurban is used as a tool for meeting the needs of madrasah in Bangladesh. It is similar to begging. How do you respond to this?
Say it again.
Collecting of zakah and scheme of uziyah or kurban is used as a tool for meeting the needs of madrasah in Bangladesh, which is similar to begging. How do you respond to this? I mean, using all this kind of fundraising.
And then so when they see in fundraising, they have to make sure that what are they saying, the reason for collecting the money have to be used in that same place, right? So this should be very clear. Clarity, wadaha, this is very important in Islamic contracts. There should not be any type of hidden agenda, right? So this is in Islamic way or ethics of business. Everything have to be very clear from both sides, from both party, the one who is giving and the one who is receiving, right? So those people who are not spending it in the right place, then that means they are doing a wrong. They should clearly write it that this money which we are collecting will be used for so and so madrasa. It will be, they should list it down.
Okay. Anything else before we close?
Or they can type it, it will come to us, right? In the
Yes. I will forward to you. But I want to ask some unrelated. I've not read properly, but they said Imam Malik used to dress very well and nice. So in this, how you define this Zahid and Qana'ah?
You see, Imam, yeah, this is very good question, Sheikh Shahran, because Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala was using the most expensive perfume in Medina, which no one will be able to use. But there's something else about him. He was wearing the best clothes in Medina, but it is also in his biography that he will right away in 1 or 2 days, he will give it as sadaqah. And then he will buy another one, he'll make another clothes, and then he will make it as sadaqah as well. All right, so you can see as far as that material accumulation doesn't contaminate our inner self, our conscience. All right, so that is what Islam wants. Islam is not stopping us. That's why I always tell people the difference between Buddhism and Islam is that one is trying to eliminate the desire by doing all types of meditation and all types of training and mujahida. They are trying to eliminate that desire, while Islam is saying no, Islam is not eliminating the desire, but Islam is saying control the desire, because it is against fitrah to eliminate desire. Man as a man, he needs to have sex. So now this is his desire. So Islam will not allow him to now never marry, become a rahib, rahib. No, Islam doesn't allow that. But what Islam will say, okay, you have the desire, control that desire, make it legal, marry. So it is controlling the desire. All right, so we want to drink, we want to eat. So Islam is saying, okay, do that, but in the lawful things, lawful consumption, lawful drink, lawful food. So this is the difference, right? That it is allowing our fitrah to continue, but in a controlled manner, so that it doesn't involve in unlawful things.
Yeah, we take 2 quick questions. The last one by Fisat. Is it permissible to collect donation from Christians or other religious one towards masjid building fund? And the second one from Mario, when a man is using haram to feed the needy, what is the problem besides feeding the needy?
The problem, the second question,
yeah.
The problem is like what the discussion we had today. Is it going to give him peace of mind?
Right.
Is it going to clear his conscience? All right. So you see, there are certain things we cannot control. You see, there's the difference between morality and akhlaq, and between fiqh and qada and judiciary. In judiciary, they can apply the law and they can punish. But in ethics and in akhlaq, we can only tell the person that this is wrong, but we cannot force them. We can only tell them that this action is not right. It will disturb your peace. It will disturb your tranquility. All right. So that is the issue here. All right. So akhlaq and character and Islamic morality will not punish someone. That is between if that issue becomes a legal issue, then that is another story. But it is, as far as ethical training is concerned, the morality is concerned, then it is against the morality of Islam, right, to use the haram to do something which is good in nature. Right, so that is the issue here. Now the first question was say it again. The first question:
is it permissible to collect donation from Christians toward masjid building fund?
Well, Sheikh, this one I have to check. All right, so what actually for me, I have seen See, I have another question, a hypothetical question on this, that which money Muslims can give to the non-Muslim? That question I have to look into it, and I will inshallah try to answer it in the coming class. All right. But here is another point which is might not indirectly related to it. You see, as far as our obligatory obligations are concerned, the zakat, all right, our kafara, all these, the recipients have to be Muslims. But when it comes to waqf, the waqf necessarily doesn't have to be always the recipient have to be Muslim. We can have waqf in Islam which can serve the whole humanity, right? So that's why sometimes people become very rigid that, oh, in Islam we cannot help the non-Muslims. No, we can help, but we need to be creative. All right. Inheritance cannot go to the non-Muslim, our personal state. But what about hiba? When we make hiba, we make hadiah, or when we have endowment for waqf, those where we can also cover and help all other human beings, no matter what is their religion, right? So certain things which are connected to our ibadah, there this condition plays important role, where we want the recipient also to be the same faith, who have to be Muslim. But when now this is another part of that the question which he is asking. Inshallah, I will try to look for his answer in the next class. Remind me.
Thank you so much, Doctor. We have one more class with you.
Yes.
If not, next Saturday we'll discuss. This is just for the recording purposes to make sure that we have 7 classes.
Okay, all right.
Because everyone will have their own page, so we want to make it sure. So final word for today, Doctor?
That's all from my side, and as I said, that our discussions here are not final discussions. These are just windows for you, which is opening a huge field for you. All right, so when you are going back, you can read and continue your research on these topics. The main purpose here is a type of awareness, a type of conscience that there is this type of teaching in Islam, and these things should be always on the back of our head when we are dealing with other human being, or dealing with the environment, or dealing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So that's all from my side. And wa akhir da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Thank you so much, Doctor. We will arrange for final class. Let everyone know. So thank you so much again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.